Brave men rejoice in adversity, just as brave soldiers triumph in war. A very good afternoon to our guest for the day, our MD Dr. Jai Singh, all the faculty members and students of IIEBM. I, Jayesh Tripathi, welcome you all to this session of the pre-induction program of batch 2325. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome our guest, Lieutenant General A.T. Parnaik, Ati Vishisht Seva Medal, Sena Medal, and Vishisht Seva Medal. Sir, may I have your permission to proceed? Thank you, sir. An alumnus of Sainik School Riva and National Defence Academy, Lieutenant General Parnaik was commissioned into the Corps of Engineers in 1974. He is a graduate of the Defence Services Staff College Wellington, the Army War College, and the National Defence College. He has served in all the operational commands over the country and held important command and staff appointments. The General holds a diploma in senior level defense management, a bachelor's degree in engineering, a master's degree in defense studies, an MPhil in defense and management studies, and an MPhil in defense and strategic studies. Other than his operational service in the country, the General has served in the United Nations peacekeeping mission in war-torn Congo as the senior military observer. During his term there, he has also served as a member of a UNDP committee for formulation of government. On his return, he worked as a faculty at the Center for UN Peacekeeping. He is a qualified assessor and has served at the Services Selection Board selecting officers for the Indian Army. In later years, he has served on Union Public Service Commission promotion boards. The General Officer has held the assignments of Additional Director General Personnel Services handling HR policies and legal issues for the Indian Army, Director General Financial Planning handling the Army's budget, Director General Border Roads Organization being responsible for defense-related strategic infrastructure in the country, and Commandant of the prestigious College of Military Engineering, Pune. That trains officer cadets, and men of the defense services as well as select personnel of civil services. In addition to overseeing skill development and empowerment of families of the troops, the General has been involved in the field of education in various capacities as management, chairman and patron for various primary and high schools as well as schools for differently abled children. The General has been a council member of the Indian Road Congress, council member of the Central Road Research Institute under the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, governing body member of the Indian Academy of Highway Engineering, and a member in attendance at the National Crisis Management Committee. Over the years, he has been a speaker at various events and seminars. The General is a keen sportsman, is part of the Yachting Association of India. He has been the president of the youth class Optimist India. He was member of the Indian rowing team in the 9th ASIAD. He was also a member of the 3rd Indian Scientific Expedition to Antarctica in 1983-84, which constructed India's first scientific base, Dakshin Gangotri. In 2004, he was a member of a mountaineering expedition to Leo Pergiel on the Indo-Tibet border. He is fond of reading and travel and believes that we are students till the end. Please join me in welcoming
Dr. Jai Singh, members of the staff present here, and students of the course. A very good morning, or rather it's an afternoon now, and a delayed afternoon to all of you. Not the best time to be standing here and discussing things, but I guess, well, this is part of the training. It's always nice to be back in the institute here, and it's a wonderful experience interacting with students for the simple reason that you bring with you a lot of experience, your own ideas, creativity, and dreams. So to anybody standing here, it's a good window into what the youth of the country is thinking about, what their dreams are. Now, I understand that as part of your induction program, you have been exposed to a series of interactions with various speakers on a whole range of subjects. And in continuation of the same program, we're going to take on today's talk. It's going to be more of an interaction. For one, I understand and I'm confident that you will agree that everybody here, at least all students and all of us present here, including me, have one thing in common. You know, you all are here with a purpose. So you're here because of something. And keeping that in mind, what do you think is that one thing that not only you, but we all have in common? Anybody? Take a shot. Yeah. Discipline, he says. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Yeah. Learning. Okay, so we are, yeah.
Jain sir, my name is Karishma Raghuvanshi. A desire to do something in life, which we
Okay.
all have, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so we are there. But if you put all this into one single word, it is success. We all want to succeed in life. No? So this desire of success has brought us all here, and everybody is wanting to go towards it in their own way. So success is what we are all seeking. To some, it may appear that others have succeeded, but to those who have succeeded, seemingly success is still far away. And so, similarly, a large number of experts and gurus, management gurus, other gurus, they have spoken and much has been said about the subject. As a military man, I would say, I would put across to you what the famous Sun Tzu writes in his Art of War. So what he says generally, that the sense of it is that if you know yourself and the enemy, then you do not have to worry about the outcomes of 100 wars. But if you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory you get, you will suffer a defeat. But if you know neither yourself nor the enemy, then you are destined to failure. And when you transport this into our context here, the success and failure of all of us depends solely on the interaction between us and the organization we work with. So this is the pair that is going to decide whether we are going to succeed or otherwise. And therefore, today what we are going to talk about is on these lines. Now you would understand that out of these two, the organization you work for and yourself, you have little control over the organization, because organizations are what they are and they are there, that's all. But you certainly have a control on yourselves, and therefore it may be said that we have 50% control on our success to start with. And if we can polish this 50% and really get going, then we have a fair chance of success as we aim. So what we are really going to do is talk about how we can prepare ourselves for this 50%. Now, to do that, one has to know oneself. The first thing is to understand who I am, and then we go to manage ourselves so that we can achieve our aim while we are working with the organization that we are going to work with. Yeah, can we have the next slide? So what we are really going to talk about is managing ourselves towards a successful career. And this we are going to do in three very brief headings. Yeah. So we'll take a look at the work environment today, because whatever we are going to do to ourselves, we are going to do it to ensure that the organization or the environment that we are going to go into and us, we sync well, so that then the thing is happening. Then we are really moving towards our aim. So we'll take a look at the work environment today, and then we'll take a look at evaluating our suitability for a career option. I mean, how do we evaluate ourselves for a particular option? And then, of course, we take a look at the suitable career option, which is going to be our destiny or a destination, which is going to take both the organization and us forward. So this is what is going to be. Yeah. So let us take a quick look at today's work environment. I'll request you to just in very brief highlight what you feel is today's work environment like. Anybody? Yeah. Let's start from this side. Yeah.
Jain sir, I am Nidhi Patel. Today's work environment is competitive.
Competitive. So that's one, correct? Yeah. It's dynamic. So technologies are coming in. Yeah. So everybody is wanting to succeed. So therefore the competition. Yeah. It's uncertain, dynamic. Right. Yeah. Tech savvy. So technology, yes. Multi-dimensional thinking, correct? Dynamic, correct, very nice, yeah. It is rigid. Okay, I mean, can you just qualify this rigid part? Okay, so it's competitive. So either you are there or somebody else takes over. Fine, good. Yeah. Yeah. It's practical. Okay. Yeah.
Jai Hind sir, I am Gurpreet Dua. Sir, today's environment is very challenging and very fast going.
Challenging and fast going. Absolutely. Rapid changes. Somebody else there. Yeah. It is stressful. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So last speaker. Anybody? Yeah. Come. It is digital. Okay. Yeah. Last one. Okay. Let's have you. It is complex. Okay. Fine. So let's take a look at each issue. So let's sum it up in some way. Yeah. Just a minute. Just a minute. So opportunities. Today you are living in very interesting times. When I look back at our own time, life was simple. We had three opportunities. Either you became an engineer, or you became a doctor, or you joined a government service. So it was like buying that old car. Either you bought a Premier Padmini, or it was an ambassador. Scooters, limited choices. Today you are spoiled for choice. It is a world of opportunities, and opportunities galore, in the sense there is not a single field where you have subdomains and sub-subdomains and niche domains where you have experts, and just about anybody can go into any field. That is how this liberal arts thing has come in. So it is an open field. It's left to your creativity to create a field. So they are looking for people are looking for minds which are going to create new avenues. So it is all about opportunities. Yeah. And because the population is so much, there are so many takers, there are so many experts, so many people vying for the same job, there is competition. Now this competition is at various levels, but if we talk of ourselves, the competition is between those people who are working in the same organization. You read Joseph Heller, somebody read Joseph Heller, Catch 22? So, okay, there's an interesting book. Joseph Heller is an interesting writer who wrote about the First World War. And if you read his book, you can't stop laughing. But the Times review of the book says it is the most sentimental account of war. But this gentleman has written another book. The book is Something Happened. That book tells you about how a small group of people are interacting and, if I may say, competing with one another in the same organization. So this competition is that competition. Very frequently you would have heard people say कि पता नहीं बच्चा वो बैठा रहता है यार उसको तो promotion चले आ रहा है, I've got nothing, I'm just sitting, look at this chap, it doesn't work, he's having a ball of a time and I'm sitting here, and things like that. And there are people who are working quietly and moving upwards because you don't know what the hell is this chap doing. Suddenly one fine day you find him, he becomes your boss, till the other day he was sitting with you or she was sitting with you. It is competitive. It is competitive. Yeah, next. Technology is rapidly moving. The pace of change, of, I won't say improvement, but the movement of technology has been very rapid in the last few years. And with artificial intelligence now coming in, it is unimaginable. At the same time, it is also scary. So one really wonders whether the genie is out of the bottle, whether we really have a control over it. And even those who have brought this up now are scared about it. So you're aware how the very fathers of artificial intelligence are now very concerned about where it might take humanity. So the technology has come into the field in such a manner that its usage is only limited by your intelligence. It is only your intelligence, which will limit the level to which you will use technology. Yeah. The thing to understand is whether this or that, if you are good, nobody can keep a good chap down. You have to be good. No amount of references, I know so and so, main iska hoon. No. If you are good, you may start anywhere, but there is no limit up to where you can reach. At the same time, if you do not have merit, it is best of luck. Okay? And merit is itself a subject. But let me put it very briefly. This merit is not to be created by someone. It has to be your merit. It is not like selling a piece of art. You know how they sell art? Somebody makes a piece of art, and then that person goes and talks to other influencers who in high society talk about this art. Oh, this chap is great, he's done a fantastic work. So you hype up the whole thing, and then this thing is placed there and it is sold. Here, it will not work. If I say so and so is very good, this, that, and the rest, but you go there and goof up things, kaput. So you have to create your own merit, and your own merit is something which will stand you in good stead. Nothing else will hold you for a long time. It can push you up once, but not more than that. Yeah. Career path. You see, in earlier times, what used to happen was a person went and joined a company and then stayed there for the whole life. So it was the job of the company management to look after their employees' career path. They saw to it that this person was looked after, things like that. And this whole idea came about because everyone realized or thought that the companies outlived people. That means generations came and generations went in the same company. The company stayed, people came and went. Now it is reversed. Today, the employees outlive the company. So today, it is the employee, it is you who is going to outlive the place where you work. When I say outlive, what I am trying to say is you have to now design your career path. Nobody is going to design it for you. Because one of the very common refrains that you hear from people who are working in offices is, there is no upward movement here. So there is no upward movement in this company. Nobody is looking after us. That is because that someone possibly has not understood this aspect of career path. It is you who is going to decide your ladder. Yeah. With longer work lifespan, you have more people in competition. You see, earlier it was understood that person worked for so many years and then it was bye-bye. Not now. Now it is as long as you can work, well, you're there. With other types of work, working from home, this, that, and the rest. So you can carry on till you want to work. So therefore, that much more competition. And with competition, there is also experience. Now with the gentleman, if he's worked for 40 years and he's going to carry on for another 10 years, he's got an edge over you or she's got an edge over you. But you have an edge where? In technology. Because you are a recent mind, so you are able to beat that person in this. And therefore, it's a game of, this versus that. Yeah. Lifestyles are changing, and because of that, people want to live in a particular manner. That means they need resources to support that lifestyle. That means they are much after resources. Resources means earnings. So the rush is that. So therefore you look for a package. So the biggest package, you say, yeah, this is fine. This can lead to trouble. It can lead to happiness, provided you are fit for it. If you're not fit for it, the first thing happens. Yeah. And therefore, there is a need for us to evaluate our suitability for a career option. Okay. Yeah. Now, how do we evaluate our suitability for a career option? Anybody? How do you say, okay, I am fit for this, or I should do this, or whatever? Yeah. Passion, endurance for long work hours. Yeah. Domain knowledge. Yeah. Yeah. Weaknesses. Yeah.
We have to measure our strength and skills which are matching to our profession. If we are meeting those criteria, then we can follow that position of the path we want to take.
Good. Yeah.
Jai Hind, sir. My name is Saloni Yadav. So we should consistently do SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats.
Perfect. So, very nice. Yeah. So let us look at strengths and weaknesses. So what would you say are our strengths or are your strengths? What would you consider as a strength? Somebody said passion. Yeah. What else? Hard work. Yeah. Adaptability. Yeah. Communication. Yeah. So we have a whole lot of these things which are your strengths. Analysis has proved that most of us who think or who, so to say, know that such and such thing is his or her strength is sometimes off the mark. And most of us have this feeling that you are not good at something, so and so, so and so. They are also off the mark. I'm reminded of one incident. There was a function going on, and this gentleman was talking on a similar subject. So this gentleman asked the audience, okay, is there anybody in the audience who feels that he or she is not good in something, So someone got up and said, yes, this lady, she got up and said, in school we used to play a game in the recess, that donkey game. You throw the ball and whoever doesn't catch it, you are a DONK1. She said, I used to always end up as the donkey in the class, So I just can't, catch a thing which is thrown at me. This is what, so after that she said, I never got into this game. Okay. He said, fine, okay, let's come on the stage. So he said, okay, we'll play a game. He got a tennis ball and he marked a big roundel on it with an ink. So he says, you stand there and I'm going to throw the ball at you, but I'm going to spin it. And every time I throw the ball, you have to just tell me whether the spin is to the right, clockwise or anti-clockwise, you know. And he threw the ball at her and said, okay. She said clockwise, right. Second time he threw it, clockwise again, right. Third time he threw it, anti-clockwise, wrong. You know. And he threw the ball at her 10 times. And out of the 10 times, the spin, she was able to correctly assess 8 times. So when he asked the audience, okay, how many times has she caught the ball? It was 8 times. So out of 10 times, she had caught the ball 8 times. So a lesson that emerges from this is that maybe a little change in focus or a thought could just change the scenario, you know. So that is one thing. And weaknesses. What could be a weakness? Time management. Yeah. Stage fear. Okay. Public speaking. Yeah. Consistency.
Typically digesting failures.
Inability to take failures. Yeah. Negotiation skills. Yeah.
Short temper.
Short temper. Yeah. Attention to detail. Yeah. Negativity. Yeah. Overthinking. Okay. Okay, the next slide. Yeah. 1. So, the first strength is what skills do you possess? In today's world, you are judged by the skills that you possess. What can you do? Now, somebody said passion there. So, we need to be slightly discreet about this. Passion is something that you really want to do. Sometime back, there was a youngster who came to me. He said, okay, sir, I am very keen to become a fighter pilot. So, मैंने fighter pilot ही बनना है, sir. You know. But he was unable to take on the other part of a fighter pilot's life. You see. So, his idea of fighter pilot was the thrill of flying, you know, at high speed. Another very shocking case was a gentleman or youngster who came to me and he said, ki, sir, I want to join the army. I just want to join the army. No. I want to become an army officer. But he says, कोई ऐसा जगह बताना आर्मी में जहाँ फ्रंट पे जाना न पड़े. अरे यार, if you are joining the army, so you are desperate, you know, passion is कि you want to be seen. So these two things are inconsistent, you know. So one has to understand that oftentimes I want to be a singer. But when you come to the stage, people can't stand you. No, you want to be a singer, fine. But can you make a good singer? That is the issue. So my passion is singing. Kishore Kumar se banna hai. But when you stand here, people say, yaar, enough, chalo. You know. So we have to understand what we are good at. And sometimes we don't know what we are good at. We say, I am good at so-and-so, so-and-so. But that is not true. Your friend doesn't feel so. Your family doesn't feel so. So how do you know what you're good at? It might be a good idea to go back and understand, for example, what do people come to you for? You know, people come to you for something because you're good at it. But you never thought about it like that. So many times your friends might be able to help you in finding out what you're good at, things like that. And the second thing is about what is required in the environment. So we already discussed what the environment is, right? So we need to now connect these two, this with that. Yeah. And therefore you will find the gaps. What are these gaps that you have to fill up? I am now very good at so and so, but times are changing, and now I am also required to do so and so, so and so. So this is the gap I'm going to fill up. So that has to be constantly understood. Yeah. Now we come to a situation where you are in a dilemma. Suddenly there is a demand for this. Shall I start learning about this, or shall I carry on with what I know? This dilemma hits all of us sometime. It is generally understood by experts that it is easier to improve what you are good at, and if you are mediocre at in something, you can become excellent in that thing, but it is not easy to start from scratch and even come to a mediocrity. So you must build up on your strengths rather than going and wasting time on something which you are not good at. I'll give you a small example. When I was a major, we used to keep playing games, football, hockey, this, that, riding horses and all. Till one day someone told me, he says, why don't you pick up golf? Golf, we thought it's an old man's game, but since it was recommended, I said okay. So I used to take my buddy to the golf course, when there was nobody around, and have a set of 100 balls there, and I used to hit the ball, and he used to be standing there to receive it. At the end of the practice, I used to be absolutely fine and he used to be sweating, because one ball would go there, the other would go there, and he was running around here and there and not a single shot. So it went on like this for a few days, till one day it was really bad. This chap was absolutely, I saw him, he came from there looking down and disgusted. So I told him, Giri, aaj to bilkul hi kharab raha. He just stood there. He said, Saab, he had that golf bag on his shoulder, and he had one club in his hand and a ball. He said, Saab, आप हॉकी खेलते हो ना, उस सामने आपके बॉल पड़ी है, कोई छीन नहीं रहा है, टाइम आपके पास है, बल्ले भी घुमा रहे हो और फिर भी मार नहीं रहे हो, मतलब ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? He says, क्या रखा हुआ है इसके अंदर? He just put that ball which he had in his hand down. He took out a club. He just reached inside, took out a club, and he says, "Saab, ball hai, maro ek." Beautiful shot. And what he hit was a beautiful shot, And then of course he ran from there. He says, "Saab, ball ko mujhe main le aata hu." What was the problem in this? The problem was, I had been told so many things, that you have to address the ball like this, stand here like this, do this, don't swing like this, and all that was goofing it up. Because all of us are networked in a particular manner. Yeah? There is a range up to which you can change yourself, but you can't go beyond that. So there's no point trying to now become Tiger Woods because he does it, so I do it. No. It is like in your classroom. There's one chap who doesn't study, but number uske अच्छे आते हैं. They say, do what he does. So your mother tells you कि उससे देखो, उससे सीखो. But उससे सीखने से फायदा तो हो नहीं रहा है, because you are made differently, So all of us have to understand that we need to improve on our strengths and not start something where we know that we will not be able to take. Yeah. Habits. Habits can be productive and they can be very unproductive. Either they will help you, you are punctual, you are always well dressed, good conduct, you know your job and things like that, you are courteous. On the contrary, a shabby chap, coming late, not bothering about work, this, that and the rest. So we need to understand, identify those hobbies and make amends. Make sure that things are put in place so that you don't suffer because of them. A lot of people, let me tell you, have suffered very heavily because very small things like this. It seems to be a very small thing, but beyond a point, the organization will not stand it. Next. The other important thing is, how do I learn? What is the meaning of how do I learn? I mean, can anybody tell me how that person learns? Anyone? Process of learning. Sorry? Yeah, how do you learn? I mean, if I was to ask you that in the classroom, what should be done so that you learn better? Okay, come.
Focused, observing,
Focus, observing and learning. Yeah.
My experience.
Experience.
So, by listening.
Listening. Yeah.
By analyzing it and revising.
Analyze and revise. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Joseph. Sorry? Active listening. Okay. Listening. Yeah. Innovation. Huh. Okay. Now let me just tell you what it means. How I learn means either I learn by writing, by speaking, by hearing, or by doing. What happens in class, you find that out of 50 students who are there, the teacher is same, everybody is being taught the same thing, but some guy is getting more marks than the other. And you keep wondering if everybody has got equal intelligence or plus minus, they should be generally there, but it is different. So when you look back at your school today, you will find that there have been guys who were all toppers, but follow them for the next 5 years and you will find that they are not the toppers in service. They are not the toppers in profession. A person who was mediocre or who was just not there anywhere, suddenly is heading something, which is very common. And the reason is because all of us learn differently. If I have to learn something, I must write down that thing and learn. A good example is that of Beethoven. He was a great musician. He used to make huge notes, but never refer to them. Then he had learnt it. Sometimes you will realize, a boss calls for a meeting. Okay, today there will be a board meeting. We will discuss something. But it's a monologue. He just speaks and speaks and speaks, and nobody is allowed to even talk. What he is doing is, he is preparing for his higher meet, but he can only learn by speaking. So he is preparing for that. There have been very senior and very high office holders who have suffered drastically because of this. How? The staff, for a particular person would prepare notes and hand them over because the person said, okay, whatever I have for tomorrow, put it on paper and I will read it. So that person used to do it. When the next person came, the staff kept doing that because that was the method. But this guy wasn't the reading type. He was the hearing type or listening type. So he would go and goof up till they realized that he has to be told. He has to sit there and you have to brief him. So all of us have to first understand how we learn. That is important. How I work. Okay, let's move on to the next. We'll just sort it out there. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the first part of it. Sometimes you are told, okay, Kamya, tomorrow there's a function there. Please go and organize A, B, C, D, E, F. Make sure that this is done, this is done, this is done. So you nod your head and push off. So out of two people, one person will still ensure that everything is fine. The other person could goof up. Why? Because that person can only perform once he has done it earlier or he has seen it happen, not just because he's been told. So these are all practical things what we have seen ourselves and we have also suffered ourselves, and therefore these are important things for us to understand about our own self. So if something like that is there, you make sure that when you are in a spot like that, you ensure that you have understood it in that particular manner. Yeah. Another aspect of our own personality is whether you are individual workers or you're a team man. You like to work all by yourself or you are part of a team. So you will find people like Einstein, they are individuals. He would be a failure if he was part of a team. And the team would absolutely get frustrated with him. And some people are team men. They can only work in a team. If you put them alone, that chap is, he doesn't know what to do. And this alone and team man, you can translate and see people, say, in the sports field. In the sports field, people who are into individual sports are often individual workers. Because in that particular sport, you have to push yourself. There's nobody to push you. In a team, there are 10 people telling you, no, move faster. So here is a guy who is a self-propelled, self-motivated chap. There you are people who are together. And there are a lot of other aspects to that, but broadly that. Yeah. Within the team, are you a decision maker or a leader, or you are an advisor? Some of us are very good advisors. To aisa kar le, you do this, yeah, come on, let's do it. But if you're put in the chair, you will not take a decision. And that is the reason why many times deputies, people who are seconds, who are not the top person, the one below, when that person gets promoted, that person fails. Because that person was a good advisor, therefore doing very well, therefore got promoted, and therefore got sacked. So it is important for us to understand what category are we. Decision makers are usually, they don't, so to say, think too much. They think, but they are dependent on advisors. An advisor is a person who will understand the whole range of plus and minus and then come out with a recommendation. Yeah. Stressful situations or a predictable environment. Some of us are good at 9 to 5 jobs. कल छुट्टी है, जाना नहीं है, आज 9 बजे पहुंचना है, you come 5 o'clock, I have to go home. But when crisis strikes, these people will falter. On the other hand, there are some people in the office who are restless. You'll be late. Generally, you will find this chap is not interested because this predictable environment kills him or her. That person is not meant for this predictable environment. This person is meant for action. I'll give you a good example from the armed forces. You have peacetime work and then you have action, say insurgency. In insurgency, there is no 9 to 5. It is a 24/7 job. There is no Sunday, Monday, Holi, Diwali, there is nothing. 24/7 you're on. And that is one place where you find some people will shine. But they are not those people who were shining when things were good. They were those people who were difficult to be managed when things were good. Because he is restless. In your class also you would have noticed there are some children who are not interested. Teacher is teaching, this chap is doing something else. Because he is finding it boring. Anybody who has done B.Ed would understand or know that a child who is not interested in the class has to be treated differently. I mean, the simplest thing, of course, is to tell a chap, go and stand outside. Because it's not interesting, so therefore, this is what it is. Yeah. And then we come to an important aspect. What are my values? Our values are very important. We have a value system. And that value system is important. We have our values and organizations have their values. Okay. I'll give you an example. Many senior officers I have seen that after they retire, they pick up a job, and a lot of them they leave the job. Why? Because they have been told to do something which is not in sync with their value system. Sometimes the organization tells them, okay, go and tell the client, I say, ho jayega, he knows that it's a tough promise that you are making. He doesn't do it because for him word counts. She will leave. Another very good example of an organizational value. There was a friend of ours who had a bungalow on Pedder Road in Bombay, and it was hired out to a lady who was working at a very high post in a very well-known organization. The contract finished and she was supposed to hand over the house to this chap. He went there, and when he went to take the keys of the bungalow, she came out with her suitcase and she said, okay, I'm leaving. House is yours. But the family was inside. But he says, where are the keys? She said, no, I was told I'm leaving. So I was supposed to leave the house on so-and-so date. I'm leaving. You can do what you want to do. So obviously, this was not a good idea, and this guy was lost. She was holding a very high post, and of course this chap he was in a big mess now. He didn't know what the hell to do. So what he did was he wrote to the top management of the company and said he wanted an appointment with the boss. He went and met the boss and told the boss what it was. Of course, it took about a month to get this appointment. Then he received a letter from the organization to say, on so and so date at so and so time, you can come and collect the keys. When he went there on that date, at that time, there was a person from the organization standing there, the house locked and the key handed over, and he learnt that this lady had been fired. Organizational value. They will not take nonsense, okay, irrespective of who you are. So values are very important. Yeah. Next. Values have to do with basically two things. Do you want to lead a worthy life? Do you want to lead a life of virtue? Or, next, it is success at any cost. So if it is you want to lead a life of virtue, now this thing is going to conflict with your success, achieving success. So what is a virtuous life which will give you success? How can you achieve your aim when you're leading a virtuous life? Because everywhere there is nonsense. So it can be defined as achieving your aims without violating the rights of others. That means you are not playing dirty. Are you going to do that? I'm sure you're reading your own, from whatever faiths you are from, whatever you believe in, you must be reading those books about good things in life, You must be reading part of the scriptures and things like how to lead a good life. Because it has a long-term connotation. ये बहुत देर बाद नींद आना बंद हो जाती है. So you have to decide in life, मैं करना क्या है. Okay. So I'm sure you're reading that. There's a small book I got. I left it with Dr. Jaising. You can take a look at that. It gives you a good idea about this aspect. The second thing is success at any cost. So you've decided this is it. Okay. So then you follow something called the rules of work. How to, rules of power and work and this, that, and how to put people, how to step over people. This is your system. You have to understand what are you made of. And the most important thing is, does your value system resonate with the value system of the organization? Is the value system of the organization in sync with yours, or rather the other way around? If it is, balle balle. If it is not, just too bad. So these are issues that we need to consider about ourselves. Then you come to about contribution. When you are going to an organization, it is always a success if it is a win-win. If the organization is benefiting from you, only then will you benefit from the organization, or you should benefit from the organization. So for that you got to contribute. But your contribution, how are you designed for contribution? Are you the type who does things when you are told? Please go and do this also, then you do it. That is one way of contributing. One has to understand that contribution is something over and above what you are required to do. Or it is through your own initiative. I am reminded of an example I was reading somewhere. There was this manager in a very famous motor company. So his friends used to see that the moment lunch hour came, this chap would vanish from the office and he would go somewhere. People kept wondering, "Ye jata kahan hai bhai?" And he would come back, after the hour was over, he would come back and get back to work. So it went on for a while till somebody said, "I'm sure he's up to some nonsense." So they followed him one day. They followed him and they saw that he was going to a dhaba. He would go to the dhaba and he would sit with the truck drivers and just chit chat with them. And he used to have his meal in the dhaba only. Now as a manager, what he was looking for was all the truckers who were riding the trucks of their company. What were their views and feedback on those vehicles, and the changes which he understood from there were the changes he got made in manufacturing of the truck. This is something you're going beyond your charter. Fine. So this is what is the other part of it. Yeah, next. So when you're selecting finding your suitability or selecting an option, what are the key issues that we should keep in mind? Yeah. Yeah. First thing, values. If you go to a place and the values don't match, you will be frustrated. You will not be able to stay there. So make sure that your values and wherever you're going, they are in sync. The second thing, of course, is how you perform and what your strengths are, so that you will be able to contribute, to be able to make sure that it's a win-win rather than anything else. And therefore, when you're finally making a decision, you will come to situations where you have assignments which are very challenging, but they meet these requirements. So you need to understand that you have to take up challenges if you want to have a suitable a pair with the organization. So that is one aspect. And many times you will find that the assignment is unsuitable, but what you're getting is fantastic. Another good example of this is this is a real life example. There was a gentleman who was doing extremely well in a particular company. So one day he got an offer from the rival company, and they said, okay, twice of what you are getting plus perks, this, that, blah, 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 everything. He said, great. When do I join? Tomorrow. So next day he switched over. From there he went to the other company. So when he got the letter, the last thing read that there was only one requirement, that he was not required to come to the office. He was just supposed to stay at home. Now the idea of the second company, the rival company, was to deny him to the first company. But everything was paid for. I mean, he had everything. He had a house, he had servants, he had a vehicle, this, that, bullshit, everything. I mean, look at this grand offer. What would you do suppose you were given this? No work, sit at home, which is paid for. A retinue of servants, you got a vehicle, you got this, that, and the rest. Your children's school fees are paid, your foreign trips are paid for, holidays are paid for, your gym bill is paid for, your club bills are paid. What else is required? So what happened to that chap? Lived happily ever after. क्या हुआ उसका? After 6 months he went berserk. You see, so we need to understand what is good and where to go for it. Yeah, next. And it is also a fact that it usually takes some time for us to understand where we belong and we don't belong. And that is the reason why this sort of an input would be useful to you, because you have now 2 years ahead of you here. You have a wonderful faculty here. You have all the resources here. So you can work on this, and by the time you are through with your training here, you have generally a good idea about yourself and should have taken all those measures that make you suitable to achieve your aim. And the idea is to prepare yourselves in such a manner that you are suited to take up assignments in a large variety of companies. So you can pick and choose. You have a choice. You're not going for whatever is there. So that you are never out of work, that you always have something in your hands. This is the general idea. I have finished. Any questions? Yeah. You're going to have a tough time, my dear friend, asking a question at lunch hour. Bata. Come. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you. So, what he just mentioned was focusing on what you have rather than what you don't have to be happy. I think it is fairly self explanatory. The point is, if you are looking outwards and comparing yourselves with others, you will always have a problem. That means if you make a comparison with somebody who is better placed than you, doing better, so to say, doing better than you, richer than you, having more assets, you always feel less. On the other hand, if you look at somebody who is really low, you start thinking no end of yourself. So it is something like, one in hand rather than two in the bush. Who is a rich person? What is richness? A person who does not need anything else is rich. Why do foreigners flock to India? Why do they come to India? I've heard this from their mouths, because they said we want to come to India to see people who have nothing and who want nothing. They are the richest people. You go to the slums, they may look dirty, etc., but everybody is playing happily there. You go to a posh locality, somebody is on dialysis, somebody is sitting here, that choice is ours. So the point simply is, if you are happy in what you have, there is no other happiness required. But if you are comparing yourself with something else, that's bad news. And I guess in all that you read, all the good books that you read will tell you this is what it is. Even the person who sits next to you in an office, you don't have to compare with that. Your entire competition is with yourself. Every day you have to be a better person than what you were yesterday. That is that. And you don't need anything more than what you have. If you look at life, you will find that you are well catered. Like people say, people slog their backsides off and they die rich. What is the big idea? You see so many great people, you talk of this chap having so much money, wealth. They all die rich. They are not having a ball of a time. They are only, working and slogging for somebody else to enjoy. If you are lucky, you may have someone like that. But that's not required. So I guess that answers your question. Yeah. Thank you very much. All the best. I'd like to see you sometime in some high places, okay? And we look forward to meeting you there.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable experience and insights and how students can carve their own career path. I'm sure students will work on creating in their own merit, design their career path, evaluate their strengths and weakness, and work on values, strength and performance as the deciding factors in the corporate journey which they're headed towards. Thank you, sir.